AJ, how the hell are you, buddy?
Oh, hey. What? Long lost friend.
Jeez,
What the F, man?
I know, man. Our schedule's been totally whack. I'm glad I was able to see you this past weekend. Um,
Yeah, but I
but
wouldn't allow us to really talk because
I know
we've been trying to
a
save it for a
a
podcast.
lot has happened since the last episode. Um,
When was the
geez,
last episode?
well, it's right after Supercross season ended. I think it was like early May, and
Wow.
then my schedule got horrible. Your schedule got a little funky, and here we are. I can't believe it's been that long. I look back, I was like, what? And every time we like text or talk, it's like, oh wait. We don't want to go into these details. That's all stuff we could talk about. That one conversation we had, where were you driving back from or up here from DC or whatever?
Uh-huh.
We're like, damn, this is a podcast episode. So we just cut
Yeah,
the whole
so we
conversation
have we
short.
refused to talk to each other for the past 2 months. Even
Disgusting.
when I just saw you at Froyo,
Yeah.
and even then, I don't know, we talked a little bit, but even then I was like, I can't
But we
really
were
tell
we
you.
were guarded. We were like, oh, we should keep all this content, which is the weirdest thing ever because of all my friends, you're probably one of the ones I talk to the most frequently. So it's super weird. But I mean,
Yeah,
so
we
let's
broke up for a
let's.
little bit.
I know we're on a break. We're on a
Yeah.
break. It was mutual.
Yeah, it's nice to be back.
We don't
We'll
we
give
don't
it
miss
another
each
go.
other. We don't miss each other. Remember that from Superbad? You guys gonna miss
No,
each other next year? What, Mom? We don't miss each other.
I just watched that too.
Oh, go back and look. So all right, man. Let's start from the top. I mean, where you've had a very busy spring. All kinds of cool trips. The academy's off and running. You've had some awesome classes. Like, break it down.
Uh, well, shoot. Shall we go in chronological order? I feel like I have so many stories for you. I don't know where to begin.
I know, me too,
Um,
because we talked about like Jen's whole ear infection, face paralysis thing. I didn't really go into detail with that with you. Um,
no, you didn't.
the my mountain bike race, which was
Yes,
a
that I wanted to ask you about.
hilarious, hilarious shit show. Um,
Okay,
but
start with that because I've been dying to hear about it,
okay,
and it happened like a month ago.
so yeah, so I decided to do it kind of like on a whim. I had been off my mountain bike. I have nobody to ride with, and
I
my
just
so
rode my mountain bike yesterday, by the way. First time in like 3 months.
I know it's funny because like for whatever reason, all right. So let me back up. Um, I love mountain biking more than I love road biking, but road biking is so damn convenient because I just hop out my front door at any time and I'm riding. I don't have to
Hmm.
pack it up. I don't. There's no.
Don't have to
There's
wash it.
no. Right. There's no mobilizing. There's no going places. You just hop out the front door. So that's the convenience factor is phenomenal. But I've been dying to mountain bike. Can never get anybody to line a schedule with me to ride with me. And I'm like, for whatever reason, lately I've been totally sketched to ride by myself. The beginning of this season, a kid who was part of the I don't want to give too much details for like confidentiality, but there's a kid who I ride with pretty regularly, and he's a big name cyclist around here. He died in the
What?
woods by himself. Yeah, yeah. I didn't tell you that. It must have been May. um, it was not a mountain bike related accident, although he was on his mountain bike in the woods by himself when it happened.
You have a heart
Um,
attack or get attacked by an animal?
he
What the heck happened?
he's 33 years old. And I guess he had like an underlying heart condition. This kid was an unbelievable bicyclist, dude. Like totally ridiculously in shape. Super strong road bike and mountain bike. And it was like, I guess I don't know any of the details. I don't want to speculate, and I don't really, it's not my place. But being a local guy, it kind of hit the whole cycling community around me pretty hard. And yeah, he was on his way from work. He worked at like a cycling organization in Middletown. He was on his way home from work on his mountain bike. He like went into the Wadsworth trails in Middletown, and then he got found. I don't know if it was later that night or the next day, and he had some heart episode by himself, and nobody got to him,
Jesus.
and he died. And it's like, for like in the back of my head, I've always kind of had that little bit of apprehension about mountain biking in the woods, especially there's freaking bears, there's freaking mountain lions, and I usually ride. I know you make fun of me for it, but I usually ride with a little thing of pepper spray in my hip pocket just in case. The animals are what sketches me out. Um, but being
Yeah,
alone by
especially
yourself
lately.
in the woods, um, if you go down in the woods, like, and you knock yourself out, whatever. So this is all just a long way of saying that
Well,
I've
it's the
been
same thing. I wouldn't go to the dirt bike track by myself either, you know?
right, right. You take those precautions, and I've done it before. I've ridden a big loop,
Man, I
and
didn't hear that though about that person.
yeah,
That's crazy. I mean, and speaking of which, I have my heart issue, if you want to call it an issue. I don't know. I have an enlarged heart for those of you that don't know. But I have like palpitations or heart murmurs every so often, a few times a year that my heart rate will just, if I had a heart rate monitor on, it goes up to like, gotta be, well over 200. Randomly, I could just be sitting around. And at class last week, I was in the middle of teaching and all of a sudden it started going crazy and I had to like sit down and everyone was like, what's going on? And they,
that's
they were like,
sketchy.
do we go get the medic? I'm like, no, no, don't get the medic. Just hang on. It'll pass. But you never
Yeah,
know. I mean,
you never
I don't
know.
know. I
It's
could have a heart
so,
attack at some point.
ugh, yeah.
You wonder
So
if
I
he
guess,
would have been fine if somebody was with him.
well, from what I've heard, that's kind of the story is, and I don't know if I really don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know the actual condition what he had. I just heard it was something that he had. It was an underlying heart condition. I guess that he knew about it, but he got cleared to ride. Um, I don't know. I don't know if somebody was with them and they could have got like a defibrillator there. Whatever. So it's just kind of like reinforced my already paranoid feeling of riding
Yeah.
alone.
And you're
And I was like,
paranoid anyways.
yeah, super paranoid, super paranoid.
I
Um,
remember when we mountain biked and it was a thunderstorm.
dude,
And
no, 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 no,
you
no.
were
That
so paranoid that
any
you had me scared.
Bro, that was the scariest thing I have ever experienced in my life. And that includes like somebody breaking into my house like in the middle of the night when I was a kid. That was terrifying. Guys, for people listening, we do a night mountain bike ride. We left, it was the middle of the summer, but it was pitch black. I mean, we left
Hmm.
what, 8, 9 o'clock? And we're in the middle of the woods as far away as we could possibly get from our cars. I mean, there's no good way back. And one of the kids we were riding with, it was me, AJ, and one other kid. He snaps his chain in the middle of the woods. Like, go
Oh,
freaking figure.
I forgot about that.
Snaps his chain. So we're like frantically trying to fix it. Meanwhile, my wife texts me. She's like, "Guys, you better get out of the woods. There's a big thunderstorm coming." Sure enough, pop open the radar. It's fucking purple. Like it's the craziest thunderstorm you've ever seen. It's heading right for us. So we're trying to fix this kid's chain. We get it. We get it fixed. I'm like, dude, just go easy on the chain. We got to get back. Just go easy. Of course, the first hill mashes up it, snaps the chain again. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Now the thunder's starting. Thunder, lightning starting. It's getting
Oh, and
closer
he
and
starts
closer.
running. He had to start running with his bike. Isn't that what happened?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, within what 15 minutes, it went from like a perfectly chill evening to we're in the middle of like absolutely ridiculous, one of the craziest thunderstorms I've ever seen or experienced, and we're in the middle of the woods in pitch black in the middle of the night,
And it's on
far
top
away
of
from
us.
and we're on top of a mountain. It's like with a kid who snapped his chain, so we couldn't like rush back as fast as we could and leave this kid stranded there. We had to He had to run his bike out, what, 3 miles in the most torrential thunderstorm. I was absolutely losing my shit. I'm like,
Yeah,
we're dead.
typically I wouldn't have been yeah, I would have been like a little I mean, it was pretty gnarly from what I remember. But you were freaking out so bad that I then was like, "Oh my, we're about to get struck by lightning right now."
Dude, that
You had
was
me convinced we were going to get struck by lightning.
I've been in some pretty crazy situations in the elements. That was by far the sketchiest. That was absolutely terrifying. And admittedly, I probably was a pussy about it looking back, but god damn it, dude. It was so freaking scary. Being it in the dark, we were just like knowing how far away we were from safety. I was like, oh my god, we're gonna end up on the news.
Yeah, and we
Um,
probably could have got back in, 25 minutes, but I'm sure it took about an hour because we couldn't bail on him. We had to just ride
yeah,
slow
right.
as he was running.
Yeah. Oh, and then my light. Remember, my light died because it got wet, and the wire. Yeah, dude. I stopped. I
Uh,
can't. So anyway, Jesus, this is a long story just to get to the freaking mountain bike race.
oh yeah,
Um.
jeez. Forgot we
So
were talking about that.
yeah. So I just did it. It was basically Airline Cycles puts it on, the team I ride for.
At
And
Herd, where was it again?
no, so it's in East Hampton. It's the same town that our shop is in, and it's called the Belltown Throwdown. It's part of a series. I didn't race any other of the races of the series, but it was like a lot of the guys I know and ride with were doing it. I was like, I'll sign up for it, no problem. Well, it's one thing when we all go out and we're all on pretty similar bikes, like long
Which are
travel
enduro,
in
right?
right long travel enduro bikes that are really good for everything, all mountain. Um, and then you show up and you're with people who are on full carbon cross country race bikes, like no, just front suspension, hardtail, that are no lie half the weight of your bike.
Hmm.
It's insane. So I go out, I do like a warm up. Um, I saw probably like half the course. I was like, all right, this is pretty chill. There was some challenging parts, some like technical uphills, rocks. Like you know how riding in New England is around here. It's pretty similar to everything that you and I have done around here. And I'm like, I'm feeling okay. I get up to the line and we're in staging, and I rode Cat 2. So not the fast guys, but pretty
Still pretty
fast
fast.
guys. Um, and I'm just kind of like scoping everybody out. I'm checking their bikes out. I'm like, okay, hardtail, full carbon. I'm
Any
like,
full rigids or no?
yeah, yeah. No full rigids in my class. I think there was some guys who were riding full rigids in the single speed category, like single speed Cat 1, but nobody in Cat 2, the open class. So I'm like, all right, I look to be in better shape than him. I look to be in better shape than him. All right, I'm feeling pretty good because like I knew my fitness wasn't as good as it should be, but I'm like I have better bike skill than all these guys. I have to. So we get out. I I think um, it was probably there's like a long section that started pretty flat before any climbing happened. Dude, I'm telling you, they went out like as you'd expect, like bats out of hell. I
Like
went
a Swift
from
start?
like exactly like a Swift start. I go from probably 70 beats per minute to about 178 beats per minute, like instantaneously. And I did not settle at all the entire time. I was like 5 minutes in, I was like, holy shit, I'm going to die. I could not believe how fast these guys were. And I was like running second, third for the whole first lap. And there was a lot of climbing. Like as far as cross country mountain bike races go around here, there was a good amount of climbing. I forgot how much the elevation was per lap. There was a 3.5 mile loop. The Cat 2s did 3 laps. Dude, I'm telling you right now, it was the craziest race I've ever done. It was the craziest thing I've ever done on a bicycle, I think. Um, I was pegged. I texted you after. I'm like, it took me an hour and 22 minutes to finish the 3.5 laps. I was like 176 beats per minute the entire time. That was my average, which that's pretty much if I go out and ride by myself, that's my max heart rate.
Right.
Like, and I was
Yeah,
I
that's the
was
crazy thing about
sustaining that
mountain bike races. It seems like motocross or supercross in the sense that it's like those guys are able to sustain that the whole time. But
the
I will
whole
say
time.
it 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 sucks a little bit more on a mountain bike because your adrenaline is going, but it's not going as much as on a dirt bike. So you're
Right.
just feeling the suck and the pain even more.
Yep. And the problem is, at least one of my problems, like psychologically, is there's no sound other than the sounds that you're making. For whatever reason, you kind of get like on a
Do you
dirt
listen to
bike, you get
music or
in.
anything in a race or no?
No, you couldn't. They wouldn't let
Oh,
you.
oh,
A lot of the races they don't let you. So no, that would
which
have
makes
helped me
sense.
immensely. But like when you're on a dirt bike, I feel like you kind of get like hypnotized by the sound of the bike. At least I used to.
Yeah, you don't
Um,
hear your breathing or anything like that.
exactly. That's all I could think about, dude, was how hard I was breathing. And then my ears started getting clogged because I was like breathing so hard. I have no idea. It was terrible. It was fun. It was an awesome loop. Um, I ended up coming in my class. There was in my Cat 2 Open class division, there was 6 guys. I ended up coming in fifth. It's like, holy shit. I think
Dang.
overall Cat 2, I think it was right in the middle. I forgot how many guys started and finished and what the times were, but I remember being about in the middle
And how
of
far
the
ahead was
pack.
first place?
First place in my race was about 45 seconds
Oh, that's
ahead of second. See, the thing is, the way we all started, they had a couple categories go out all at once, and a bunch of classes go out at once. So I didn't really know, like in the process, who I was passing and who was passing me, and so that was messing with me. When I finished, we got our times posted. I was like 12 or 15 seconds behind the guys who finished fifth, fourth, and third. And had I known where they were, like relative to me, I probably would have been able to push an additional 15, 30 seconds somewhere.
so it was
But
only based on times.
it was only times. It
So
was,
if
yep.
you cross the start line after the dude who like when does it start when does the time actually start? When you cross the start line?
Nope. When the gun goes off, basically, that's where the official time starts.
Oh, so
Because you're not wearing
if
a transponder or anything. It's literally the clock starts when they say go.
oh, so if you
So if
finish
you're
behind somebody, they beat you.
correct,
Okay. I
but
didn't know if
the
it
th-
was based
the
on like
thing
just
is,
when you took off or
no, the thing is, when they staged everybody, they staged like Cat 2. There was several different divisions of Cat 2 that were kind of staged together, and then there was, I think, a Cat 1 single speed race that went off. Um, and I mean, just being in staging, I wasn't focusing on people's faces. And I don't know, you kind of just get in that race mode and prepping yourself, and I wasn't paying attention to who I was really going to be racing against. And that was what threw me off, because I knew right when we started, I started in like I was on the starting line. My wheel was on the starting line, and there was 3 guys along that starting line, and I
oh,
knew
so you're
relative
front
to
row.
I was front row, and I
Oh,
knew
nice.
relative to them when I started. I had one kid who was on a single uh, hardtail titanium bike that went off, and he was in the front, and I was on his wheel for a little bit. Um, he ended up winning. That was a kid who won, and I knew kind of where I was sitting at least the first lap. But then you start running into lappers because the pro class went out first. I think they went out like 12 or 15 minutes before us, because then how it all worked out. Then the pro women and Cat 1 women went out, and so you end up hitting lappers. And one of the things that screwed me up huge, which might have been the difference between where I placed looking back, was I ran into one of the Cat 1 pro women. I started to lap her in the worst part of the loop you could possibly try to pass somebody. It was a super super technical uphill, and it was like a rocky, really steep, and there was like a sharp left hand turn like over a root in rocks, and you know how it is around here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm right behind her. She ends up dismounting and causes me to completely stop dead. But instead of like letting me like run around her, she kind of like blocked me from going by and like tried to get back on her bike. I was like, "What the?" I didn't say anything to her at the time. I was surprisingly polite, but I was like, "What the fuck? She's not letting me go around her. I'm come on." And I ended up losing a considerable amount of time because she tried to get back on her bike and pedal, try to get back on her bike. I'm like, let me go around you. And you couldn't, like, the way it was like a cliff on one side and like a bunch of trees and rocks on the other. And you couldn't like just jump around her. You had to stay on the single track. So,
Some dude was trying to
but
do that to me yesterday in the trail. Came up on him so fast, and when I caught him, he turned around and saw me there, and then just started riding his ass off to try to keep me behind him. And I'm like, what? Okay, what type of etiquette is that, first of all? And you're gonna wear yourself out in a matter of 30 seconds trying to ride like that.
Yep. Yeah.
And
So
sure enough, he ends up pedaling himself into a root and it kicks him sideways and then he like flies straight off the trail. And I just go, I'm just like super casual, just right by him. I didn't say anything. My music's on.
yeah. So I mean, it was a fun race. I want to do more.
Are there any more
I
this
don't.
summer?
Thing is, man, I would have to sandbag a lower class. There's just no way on the bike that I'm riding without a cross country bike. There's no way. There's just no way.
Yeah.
These guys
Well,
are
I
riding
mean, a
bikes
good
that are
example is
great.
yesterday I went out, just did 7 miles, like 50 minutes, super casual. And I PR'd a bunch of stuff. And I've hit those trails really, really hard on my Nomad, which is a 160 millimeter travel
Yep,
uh, enduro bike.
all mountain enduro bike.
And now I have like 125 or 130, whatever the heck it is, Scott Spark. It's like a full blown carbon race bike. Just casually, I was PRing stuff.
Yeah,
So it just goes to show you how much
well,
faster
it's
that
good.
thing is.
Probably 10 pounds lighter than your Nomad, I would bet.
Yeah, oh, easy, I would say. It feels
And
like
if
a
you
road
think
bike when
about
you pick
that,
it up. You can pick it up with
yeah,
your
that's
pinky.
crazy. That's so crazy. So yeah, here I am like on a 45-pound freaking tank. It's made for going downhill fast. And yeah, so that was, but it was fun. And it almost made me want to buy another bike, but I just wish there
Yeah,
was
but I
more
will
enduro
say,
racing
I will say,
closer.
like, it takes the fun out of it a little bit riding a race bike like I have now. The trails aren't,
Yeah,
it's just not as, like, I don't know, you're hitting the
you
roots and
can't huck stuff.
you
Yeah,
feel everything. If there's a jump, you kind of got to go around it. I mean, you can hit it, but it hurts. Going down the hills, especially mine is a 2 by. So, uh, for those of you wondering what the heck we're talking about, it is just it's two sprockets in the front.
hmm
Sprockets, what would you call them?
chain rings, sprockets,
Chain rings.
whatever.
Um, so when you go downhill on that bike and you're coasting and not pedaling, the chain will flop off of the gear that you're in. It's just really annoying. Where the Nomad, I mean, it yeah, you can't go as fast, but you're still working as hard. And then when you get to a fun section, you can launch stuff. The
It's
downhills are a
more fun
blast.
when it's fun. It's more fun when it's fun.
Yeah.
I would
The
agree.
problem is though, the guys that I ride with here, it's same situation. They're all in like single speed, uh, full rigid bikes. They're hardtails. There's no keeping up with them on the Nomad.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Like in the race, climbing, first lap, I was good. Like I was able to power through everything. But I mean, literally zone 5 heart rate for 35 minutes the first loop, or however long it was. I can't remember. I coming around the second time, like all I wanted to do was get out of the saddle. But as soon as you do, and for people who don't know, on a mountain bike, once you get in a full suspension mountain bike, once you stand up to put power down, you actually go a lot slower because you're
Mm-hmm.
just like sagging the suspension. Every single ounce of energy is just going into the suspension. You're just freaking bouncing into the earth.
Yeah. And
These
on my
freaking
bike now, you can stand up
yeah, that's awesome.
and you actually
So like
get forward
you
drive.
could put you could put power down, and so like that's where like the hardtails are just out of this world better. I mean, they're clearly less comfortable and they're shitty for bouncy technical stuff because you don't have any rear suspension. But damn it, do they go up hills fast?
Yeah. It
So
just, I guess it kind of just takes the point on a mountain bike though. It's fun to go in the trail and like have a good handling bike. I don't know
yeah,
because then I don't know. I was kind of mad at myself for getting that thing yesterday when I was out there. I'm like, I might as well be on the road with the way I'm riding this thing. I'm just getting beat up going over the rocks and the roots, and I'm just like basically in an arrow tuck. Like I just felt like I was on a road bike.
that's hilarious.
Well,
So
have we
yeah,
talked about like my Switzerland
dude,
trip? Have we talked
no,
about any of these
I
trips?
keep asking you about all these things. So, oh, let's save it. Let's save it. I know a lot of people are interested in the Switzerland trip. I want to hear about it. Let's go.
Well,
When did you go? That was what, a few weeks ago now?
I went for my birthday, so I was there the week
Okay,
of
so
June 6th. We were there for like 9 days, 10 days, I think. Um,
of all the places you've been, it's definitely the one I'm most jealous of because Jen and I have
yeah,
been talking about going there. Damn it, I want to go.
yeah. So we had been Allie and I, especially me, I'm just kind of the type to pull the trigger on something and just do it. Obviously, you know how I am. But we had been every year we go somewhere cool for my birthday. Last year we were in Dubai. Year before that I was in Australia. We wanted to go somewhere cool, but we couldn't decide. And Allie was being so indecisive that finally she got home from work one day. I'm like, I just bought these flights. We're flying into Zurich, Switzerland. Deal with it. I'm like, we don't have a
That's
plan. Like,
awesome.
this is what we're gonna do. So what we did is I got a round trip flights in and out of Zurich, and we rented a convertible Mini Cooper. And I was like, well, in Europe, you can pretty much just drive wherever the heck you want, and it's all within 5 hours. You could get, probably seven different countries in 5 hours.
Yep.
And so I'm like, well, we could just do what we want once we get there. If we want to, she wanted to do like Amalfi Coast or somewhere along the Mediterranean. I was like, all right, we could just drive there. And we spent most of our time, saw pretty much all of Switzerland with the exception of Geneva, which is like the southwest corner. We went down to Lake Como in Italy for a night, stayed at a sick hotel there. Splurged on that hotel. Was way too expensive, but it ended up that was worth it. So that night was cool. But I mean, guys, if you could find a cheap flight to Switzerland, which actually I think we only paid like $750 round trip per person, and there were good flight options too.
Pretty decent, yeah.
It is, and I've traveled to a lot of places. By far, the nicest place I've ever been. It is like straight up the pictures you see online and the crazy videos you see online. You would imagine when you get there, it's not as nice. It's everything you could possibly imagine and more. It seems fake the whole time.
I mean, Switzerland's one of the best places to live in the world? Like the happiest people. I think they have like the highest quality of life on the planet.
I can see why now. It is really expensive.
It looks
though,
awesome.
I will say, like, with the hotels.
So break it down for me, because that's what I mean. People always hear all these people, especially you. I'm gonna call you a celebrity. People go on these trips. They're like, "Oh, I want to do that." They have no idea how much it costs. I've heard that Switzerland's expensive once you're there. Getting there isn't a big deal, but it's an economy that is pretty pricey for just going out, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I will say though, like when I say expensive, it's still not bad. So we've done trips, we've paid $1,000 and gone and done like a 7-night all-inclusive thing in the Dominican or something like that, which is ridiculously cheap. And for what you pay, it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, but you're also going to Dominican and you could die because you heard all about that story,
yeah,
right?
I didn't realize it. Apparently it's a little sketchy now.
Yeah, I'm all set with third world countries. No offense. No offense.
So, you figure we paid $750 each for our flights. When we got there, we were paying anywhere from $280 to $550 a night for hotels, which, when you get up in the $400 or $500 range, I don't like to be spending that on hotels, but you get what you pay for, I guess. There were some sick ones. Mm-hmm. The problem was the meals. I mean, every time we would go out to eat, we would go and get burgers and something super basic, and you're talking it would be $90 to $140 for the two of us.
Yikes!
Yeah. So every time we sat down,
were they good with like using your credit card over there?
Yeah, because I brought a bunch of cash and I didn't end up using. I barely used any of my cash. It's pretty easy nowadays with just we have like Bank of America or whatever the heck.
Do they charge you foreign transaction fees?
Yeah, but it's so minimal. The ones that I was paying, it was like less than $1 per transaction. I feel like.
No, that's a no-brainer. That's well worth.
You could track it super easy. Yeah, you wouldn't have to worry about losing cash. Mm-hmm. That was kind of the way to go. The confusing thing is when you go out to eat, trying to figure out when you're bouncing country to country, like, do you tip? Do you not tip?
You don't tip generally.
United States don't tip, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. That's the thing you got to kind of factor in when you go out, especially in Europe. Is like it might be more pricey on the menu, but you're not. You got to figure you're saving 20% of the tip. So
yeah, but where they get you is you're paying for water, and it's not cheap. It's like expensive. They bring out these glass bottles and they're pouring you the water, and it's like you're paying $14 for a little thing of water.
Okay.
So they get you
Hmm.
on that too. So
Yeah, I
we
think I
ended up
remember
we were
that from
trying to make
Italy.
sure we were hydrated. So then when we'd sit down, we wouldn't order anything to drink for the meals
Go.
because we would just sit down, for 15 minutes for a burger and order water. And next thing you know, we're looking at the check and we're like, holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
that's how it was in Iceland. Rome in Italy wasn't terrible when we went. Neither was Ireland if I remember, or England, but Iceland was pretty expensive for food. But that's because they don't grow anything there. They have nothing indigenous. They don't there's no crops. They don't really have a lot of livestock
mm.
options other than lamb, sheep. So that was a little pricey.
Even when
Kind of
we
the
just
same deal.
drove over the border and we were in at Lake Como, which is a super wealthy part of Italy, it was still really cheap. We could go out and get an awesome, dish of like fresh pasta and order whatever. And it was, 15, $20 a person, which is like normal.
Yeah,
But yeah, for some
nice.
reason in Switzerland, even when you're in spots that you would think, it's just all like, it seems like an abandoned town and just a couple of farmers walking around, you go to this little hole in the wall and you're paying a crazy amount for food. But totally
It
worth
looks
it.
sick though, dude. Like your pictures and the videos you have are it's just like breathtaking.
Yeah. And I think we timed it perfect with the weather too. Super mild. It was sunny every day. You could see, I mean, the Swiss Alps basically were just all around us. So you look out in the distance and you think it's a cloud, and then you're like, hang on a second, that's actually a huge freaking mountain. Oh, and at one point, oh my gosh, dude, we drove. So we, thank God I had, Verizon has this thing where you pay $10 a day and
Yep.
you have unlimited text call and you have a certain amount of data usage. So I'm like,
Yep.
I was using that. That's how I was navigating. So we were going from Interlaken or somewhere like in the middle of Switzerland, and I was trying to get down over to the east, like the southeast side, which is Lugano, and then you would go south into Italy. The quickest way to get there was through all these passes, like all these crazy windy roads that go up over the top of mountains. They were like the
All the
most
roads that
famous
look
roads
sick to drive on. Yeah.
yeah, in Switzerland. So I was like, I purposely planned to go through there, and it seemed like it'd be kind of the fastest way, anyways. So we start driving all these roads. Next thing you know, we are way up in the snow, and we're just in this little Mini Cooper. Like it goes from like 85 degrees to it's now like we could have winter jackets on, and you could be skiing. And we're going along. We probably drove for an hour and a half, maybe more. And all of a sudden, we get to the spot, and road's closed. And we're like, wait,
Really?
hang on a second. And I'm talking, this is one way in, one way out. I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. We're almost at the end of this whole thing. We're at the highest part of the mountain, and there was like a ski shop that was right there. So I pull in and I ask, and they said there was not maybe an avalanche. I don't know. There was so much snow on the road that it wasn't drivable. So we had to turn
Wow.
around and backtrack an hour and 45 minutes the other direction, then go all the way to the northern part. It added like 5 hours to the drive. And Allie was so surprised. She's like, she looks at me. She was waiting for a freak out. And I was totally calm. I'm just like, because I don't know. I was enjoying myself driving for once.
Yeah. Well, that's
Normally
something
I
to be
would have
said
like
about
caused a little
driving
scene.
over there like that. Yeah. But like the drive is part of the trip. Like that is it's the sights to be seen. I remember when we did the road to Hana in Hawaii, like we left super early in the morning. I think when like all said and done, it was probably about 12 hours that we went there, like from the beginning to the end and back. And we stopped off and we did stuff along the way to see, basically just check off the freaking Instagram list. But it was just like the drive itself was fun. Like I didn't
Right.
mind being in the car for that long. It
Yeah.
was a
I mean,
super cool
the
windy
majority of
road,
our
and
trip was spent driving. And we only paid like
yeah,
$300 for the whole week for that rental car. So that was the best
that's a good
investment that we
deal.
made. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Gas there is crazy expensive. So a little warning on
It,
that.
all European gases, all of it, everywhere, and
Yeah,
they
I
do it by a
calculated
liter too,
by
right?
liter. So it
Yeah.
was like $1 dollar or a dollar, whatever their currency was, Swiss francs, 170 per liter, which I think I'd done the math. It was around 580 a gallon.
Yeah.
So it's
It,
costing more than $50 to fill up the Mini Cooper tank.
yeah, we have it good here with gas, and I know
Yeah,
gas does get expensive, but uh, but they
it's
also
cheaper
use
than
a lot
anywhere
of
else I've
diesel
ever
over
been in the
there.
world.
Yeah, that's true. Me too. But they use a lot of diesel, and
Uh-huh.
diesel's not as much.
Trying to think what else. Oh, we
So
witnessed a
were they
couple
good with
crazy things.
English? Okay, hold on. We'll get to
No,
the
no,
crazy
they
things.
weren't. Um,
No,
not at all. Found myself
interesting.
doing a lot of sign language. Yeah, when you get in the bigger cities and you're talking to the younger people, they know more and more. But a lot of
Okay.
the places that we were, and I think what you'll find with Switzerland is that a lot of it isn't necessarily touristy places. It's just you're in these little villages of people that are
Yep.
just, hanging out with their cows, and it's,
Oh,
yeah, they
God.
definitely don't care to have Americans around.
Yeah,
A lot of rude people. But it was mind blowing. Yeah, and
that's awesome.
yeah, before that, I mean, Whistler was pretty amazing, like the scenery in Whistler, but no, I don't think anywhere in the world compares to that. Really don't think anywhere else I go where will ever top that. Oh, another thing, I have a bunch of notes on my phone, so I don't forget to talk about stuff. Dude, I gotta somebody because when I post where I'm, when I'm in places, people on Instagram will just send me a ton of messages. Somebody said, "Be careful of the speed traps, or they have cameras set up."
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I was like, all right, well, I drive slow anyway, and I was being pretty particular with staying right around the speed limit. I get home, and like 3 weeks after getting home, I got a ticket in the mail, multiple tickets. And luckily, they weren't that
What?
much each, but like $190 total. And each of them were like 64 and a 60, 66 and a 60. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So I'm
Yep.
like,
They're black and white.
oh my God. I mean, and I was like, I had my cruise control set, and as soon as it was almost more dangerous than it was. Of course, it was more dangerous doing what I was doing than it was to just go 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, because I was looking at my speedometer more than I was looking at the road.
Yeah, dude, they do not mess around over there. Like Germany too. Um, it's basically like if you get a DUI, you will never ever drive
Yeah,
ever
you
again,
lose your license for
ever,
life, I think.
ever. Like I say this so cynically. Americans, they don't know what we have. We don't know what we have over here sometimes. We complain about shit like people with 4, 5, 6 DUIs. Like that kid who just killed all those kids or all those guys on the motorcycles in New Hampshire.
Oh, I
He
just
had
heard
like
about that.
he had like 4 or 5 DUIs.
Was
Like
he
that is
drunk when
something
he
wrong
did
with our system.
when
No, I
that thing
don't
happened?
think so.
Oh,
He has an extensive motor vehicle history.
Jesus, dude.
But yeah, so I mean, they don't mess around over there. I do think, um, I think the speed traps here, they used to have them in DC along the Beltway, but they have them elsewhere too. But I'm pretty sure they got ruled they were non-constitutional. I think
Oh,
could be
really?
wrong. I could be
I've
wrong
seen
about
them
that, but
some places here. Well, I don't know here in DC, but um,
or am I thinking red light cameras? Maybe both. They did those for a while, and I'm pretty sure they got ruled unconstitutional in some instances, so they stopped doing them.
hmm.
But because like who like how do you know who's driving your car? You could get a ticket. You could have let somebody borrow your car. And it's not even you, but you get the ticket for it.
Yeah, I
Doesn't make
guess.
any sense,
Yeah, I don't know.
you know.
I got a
So
ticket in the mail
are
the
you
other
gonna
week
pay
too
him?
for a red light ticket.
Did you?
Did I pay it? Oh, to be honest with you, I
I'm
don't know
talking
if I
about
paid it or not.
The Switzerland ones.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, I don't
Well, I
remember
mean,
if I
unless you
paid it or
plan
not.
on going back there.
Oh, I think
I mean,
no, you know what? I'm pretty sure it automatically got taken out
oh,
from
from
my
your credit
rental
card.
car.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah,
So it counts as like an incidental thing.
I think so.
Interesting.
It was hard to read the email because it was not in English, but that's what it looked like. Because I got
Hmm.
one from like, I think it was all forwarded from 6T or whatever that rental car company is.
So I bet you whoever's issuing the ticket probably bills it to the rental car company maybe, and then they just backtrack whoever was renting it at the time and they
Yeah,
pass the charge on.
I'm guessing because it would all go by license plate. So yeah.
Interesting. So
Um,
get back to the crazy stuff. You had mentioned you saw
oh,
some
dude.
crazy stuff. I want to
Yeah,
hear about the
two
crazy
crazy
stuff.
things. So day one in Zurich, there's a bunch of trains that like go on the roads, which is a little sketchy if you don't know which
Like
way to look for
trolleys or
them. And
trains?
yeah, like trolleys.
Okay.
Uh, no, like more so like metros.
Okay.
I don't know, like like a short metro, with like four or
Gotcha.
five trains worth. I don't know how to describe this thing. Going pretty good speed, but it'll drive on the road. So it's got like these divots for the rail of the train in the road, and there are road bikers everywhere here. And so, but it's just thick enough to where if you're on a road bike and you were running parallel to it and you fell in the divot, you would definitely eat shit.
You're going down. Yeah.
Yeah. So like people when they cross it, you got to make sure you're going straight across it, or like really angling yourself so you're not getting stuck in it.
Mm-hmm.
Allie and I are walking along, and I don't know why, but we're looking right at this guy, and he just had just ridden by us, and we're both like looking his direction. He isn't paying attention and just slowly is fading over, and all
Oh
of a sudden
no.
front wheel right in the divot. And I've never seen somebody crash so hard on a road bike in my entire life. And he was going pretty good
Really?
speed.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Slams the ground, just skids across, and there's like immediately 7 people swarm, pick him up, grab his bike, get him off the rail, and he just like dusts himself off, and he keeps going, covered in blood. And Allie and I are like, what just happened?
What? Probably riding to the hospital to get some free health care.
It was bad. And Allie's like, how did she didn't understand. And I'm like, do you see those divots in the, and I was like, look at the width of his tire compared to that divot in the ground. And I'm like, you can't ride straight with that. I mean, that's super dangerous. And then I don't know if it was that day. I think it was the very next day. Her and I are, and this has been happening to me a lot lately. Went to go cross the street, but this happens to me mostly when I'm on a bicycle. We weren't close enough to where there was a car coming, and there was a Vespa scooter coming. We weren't close enough. That Vespa scooter could have easily just kept going, and it wouldn't have affected us at all. We could have just walked behind him because we weren't there yet. But he saw us out of the corner of his eye and slams on his brake on this Vespa scooter at the crosswalk. And immediately I look at the car behind him, and this woman in this Volkswagen is looking at her phone, and I'm like, oh
Oh
no,
no.
oh no, like, and I had my arms out, and I'm like, I like a moment of panic, but what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
And this guy is just totally oblivious. This lady looks up when she's about half a foot from him, thank God, or else she would have just plowed completely through him. Looks up, skids, and she's going pretty fast. Slams into the back of this guy. His Vespa scooter just goes flying out from under him.
What?
He goes launching and lands right on his back.
Oh,
But she was able to get
Jesus.
stopped, so like he bounced kind of off the hood and then landed on his back. But I mean, if she didn't see him, she would have drove right through and he would have rolled over the windshield off the back of the car. So, and he had a
Holy
backpack on.
smokes.
So when he landed on his back, he landed on his backpack. So overall, this dude got super lucky, but it was pretty gnarly to watch. Like, and it sounded super loud. Like he got hit hard. And again, like this was
That's
something that I
wild,
saw
man.
coming, but Allie, I don't know, the average person probably wouldn't have like had the awareness to look at the car behind and saw that they weren't paying attention. And like to me, right away, it was obvious. I'm like, well, this guy's getting hit, and there's nothing I could do to stop it. And like I put my arm like in front of Allie, and we just basically sat there. And as soon as she heard the car starting to screech, she like turned around and looked at me because she didn't want to see it. And we had to hang out
Oh
there, and then
man.
like because we were the only witnesses. The guy couldn't speak English, but he was shaking and terrified. And
Jesus
yeah, it
Christ.
was
Yeah,
just like there
that's
was a bunch of wild stuff happening. We were seeing a lot of other
wow.
people's misfortune.
Yeah, jeez, that sucks.
Yeah, and I felt like it was basically it was our fault because he stopped to let us go across the street.
Wow. Imagine having that guy's death on your conscience for the
Oh
rest
my
of your
God.
life. Jesus Christ. I'm glad it worked out and he didn't die. Oh my God. Or get
Yeah.
hurt, it sounds like. Jeez. It's
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, so that was Switzerland. Found a bunch of money on the floor of a bathroom,
Oh yeah, I
8,000
saw that.
euros.
8,000, like how? How is that even a
Hmm,
thing? So
I
that's
don't
what,
know.
like 10 grand, maybe
Yeah,
more.
yeah. I mean, basically, I don't know. The rate right now is maybe
Uh,
1.3.
1 point, yeah, somewhere around there.
So yeah, I in the bathroom, taking a number two, sitting down, and I look to my left. I'm like, okay, there's a fanny pack, just the flattest fanny pack I've ever seen. It's just like this little pancake of a fanny pack, and I was like, do I just leave it there? I'm like, I'll look to see if maybe there's an ID in it, or I'll just grab it and return it to the this is at a hotel. I'll just return it to the lobby or the reception. I unzip the pocket, nothing in there except $500 or 500 euro bills, $8,000 worth. And I'm like, holy crap.
How does somebody just leave that?
I do. And
Or uh, you think it was planted there?
well, okay. So yeah, there's a few thoughts that went through my mind at first. One, I was like, do I give myself a finder's fee and then return it? I'm like, no, I couldn't live with that. I was like, I just got to return it. And then I was like, wait, should I return it? Like, is this a drug deal? Should I just leave it here and walk away? And then as I'm in there contemplating this, somebody I'm still in the stall. I hear the door open. Somebody walks in, and it didn't seem like there was much happening. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe this is the person coming to get it. So I waited like a little longer, and then the door opens and they leave. I'm like, oh, okay, weird. And then finally, I'm like, no, this couldn't be a drug deal because it is literally at my feet. Like, if it was a drug deal, it would have been hidden behind something. It wouldn't have been,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
There's a lot of
at my
thought
feet.
that you put into this while you're sitting there.
Yeah,
But
it was a
I
lot of
mean,
money.
yeah, I can't say I wouldn't do the same.
And then I was like, I walk out of the bathroom and Allie's sitting right there, and I kind of like whispered to her and I called her to me. I'm like, Allie, come look at this. She walks over and I unzip the thing and show her, and she's like, what the heck? I'm like, I'm gonna just return it. And I walk over, hand it to him, and the lady looks and she goes, wow, so honest of you. And that was it. That was the transaction. So pretty much, she's saying how honest of you, but she's thinking, this stupid American. I'm just gonna take this for myself. Thank you very much.
So who did you actually give it to?
It
Like the
was like
receptionist
the hotel
or the
receptionist.
concierge? Okay. Yeah, I wonder what she did with it. She
I
probably took
know.
that little finder's fee.
Yep, I'm sure she did. Sure
Wow.
she did. Yeah, because the only
So you had a
thing
lot
that
of
like,
interesting things happen over there.
yeah, the first thought that went through my head, I'm like, man, if it was some like old grandpa, and this was all the money to his name, just in this fanny pack, and the poor guy, just forgot it. I was like, I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I even so much as took just one of those bills out of there.
Yeah.
So I just,
See, that's the difference between like a person like you and I'm gonna lump myself into that category because I'm the type of person like if I forget to pay for something in the grocery store, they forget to like scan something and I get out to my car, I'll like go back. Jen's the same way. We're assholes. We go back in and we have them scan it and pay
if there was
for
a
it. You know what I
hundred
mean?
people, if 100 people went into that bathroom and found that, how many of them do you think would do what I did?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't have an answer. I'd like to think that 99 people would return it,
Oh,
but
no
there's
way.
definitely some assholes out there. And not even assholes, just like there's some people it's some of them I can't even what I would want to know is how many of those people who didn't return it because they were sociopaths and like had absolutely no empathy for the person who lost it. And then there are the people who wouldn't return it but felt really bad about it and like maybe later
Right.
felt guilty about it. And then there are the people who just return it all, like you. But yeah,
Yeah. Or the
I
people that,
really
take a couple bills, their finder's fee, and then return it,
yeah.
which was the only other option I even considered for a second. But then I was like, just, I can't. it wouldn't have been if I had taken a couple bills and had €1,000 and been €1,000 richer. The guilt wouldn't have been worth the €1,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like you said, I mean, you never know what people's circumstances are. I mean,
Right.
it could have been some guy, I don't know, is on
If
his
I
way
had
to a new life, and that was
if
all
I
of his
could
money,
yeah,
and
if I
it
could have
just fell
known for
off.
sure that it was some insanely rich guy that just was being careless and had like he was on the way to the casino with an envelope full of money, maybe I wouldn't have felt as bad taking the $500 from it.
Or it was like some sleazy douche who just won 8,000 by being a sleazebag at a casino. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what other crazy stuff happened? That
Well,
was a fun trip though. That was a
nice.
fun
And then
trip.
you went
And
to you went to Florida like the week after, 2 weeks after. So you've been all over the place.
yeah, I feel like we go somewhere else too? No, we went down to Sarasota, um, that area, just kind of looking for houses, see if we wanted to live down there. And I don't know. I don't know, man. We
Don't
went
do it.
and it was like 115 degrees, and I was like, well, if I had a house down here, I certainly wouldn't want to live here year round. I think the
Right. So
move is to
you're gonna
buy
be in
up
the
north
yeah.
first, and
Yes.
then
Please do.
yeah,
Please. Please.
dude, I will say I've been looking. The latest thing is the potential of just buying a small chunk of property with a house in Connecticut, like 4 to 7 acres,
Yep.
having a little track built for myself and students, and just having like some students come there and ride. Because I will say, I wouldn't open it to the public, obviously, because in Connecticut, for obvious reasons, that can't really happen.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
for 400 grand, for 450 grand, you can pretty much, and it's crazy because Connecticut is generally known as being pretty expensive. You can kind of get whatever the heck you want.
That's a price point where you in the right town, you could have a gorgeous house with some land in the right town. It might not be the most convenient for like commuting to work, but you don't really have that worry. So you can move to a place like, I don't know, where were Jen and I last week? We're like, who the hell lives out here? It's not near anything, like Killingly or like kind of towards that Madison area. Like you're kind of far away from 95. You're not really near any highway. So getting to work must be a pain, but you don't really have that concern. So you don't have to worry about a commute every day. Allie might, but
Yeah,
she could
that's the only
probably,
problem now, is that's our holdup now. She does well at her job. I don't know if she necessarily likes it all the time. Um, but she does well, and it's like, well, what is she gonna do to make money equal to that in Connecticut without a degree? She's not. So, yeah, I don't know.
there's,
And
you
then
get,
without the
there's a,
property, we could get for 400 grand, whatever you can get with a normal little plot of land, or not, sorry, with no land, just like a house.
mm-hmm,
We can get whatever we want, really,
yeah.
with
You,
like a 1,700 square foot house
mm-hmm.
where, and it's beautiful. Where in comparison to where we are now, you can't. It doesn't exist. It does not exist for
Dude,
unless you're paying eight
my
hundred thousand
brother's
dollars.
house, my brother's house, kind of near you, just on the opposite side, is what did he pay? I think he was like 460, and it's.
Is it a
I mean,
townhome or is it a
it's
house?
decent. No, it's a house.
Oh
It's
wow, that's
It
surprising.
was from what was, but it's tiny, dude. It's like I don't know, 1,500 square feet maybe. It's and it's on absolutely nothing for land. It's on like a little postage stamp. It's a beautiful house, like it's completely redone. I'm just throwing that out there because in that area, dude, freaking real estate. We go by like this little house like down the street from him, and he goes, "Guess what that house was listed for?" I was like, "I mean, just knowing what your house went for, I would say 600." He goes, 750. I was like, "Oh my god,
Yeah, these
it's
townhomes
crazy."
just went up across the street from us. Um, just normal little 2, 3 bedroom, small, and they're nice. They're brand new, and they're starting at in the 800s.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it's like
But you got to look at it like this: that those $800,000 townhomes, I guarantee you, pay less property tax per year than your $400,000 house in Connecticut would. No question. So
yes,
it's all
Yeah, but
you
it's
gotta.
still like I don't know. I was looking at the taxes, and it's not outrageous. It's like
Mm.
9 grand a year. Does that sound right?
It is. People are gonna listen to that and say, "Oh my God." For Connecticut standards, that's not a lot. Like I don't want to divulge too much personal information here, but I know people who are paying tens of thousands of dollars in taxes.
Yeah. I don't know. 9 grand didn't sound that bad to me. I was
Niagara
like,
is it isn't outrageous for the area and for what the house is. It's town by town. So I mean, you have like a upper middle class town where they don't have like a lot of social programs and stuff that you're paying for, like community centers and all that stuff. Then your taxes are generally less. You go to a place, you know, not like that, and your taxes are generally more because you're supporting other things. But
yeah. So we don't know. We're trying to figure it out. Because then again, if we bought a place, I don't know. I will say though, because the places we're looking at in Connecticut in that price range, a lot of them have in-law suites, like guest houses. So
uh-oh.
like a cool 3-car garage with a guest house above it that's like 800 square feet. And I'm like,
So I
well,
can visit you and Lisa all at once?
yeah, you could come visit Mama
Nice.
Cat. I'm like, so then my mom could rent from us. And then I
Yes.
was like, then we could just buy a place, in a
Oh
cheaper
God, I hope
place
she
in
doesn't listen to
Florida.
this.
Oh, yeah, she knows. Well, yeah, you
She
guys have a
knows.
relationship going.
Stop it. Um,
Yeah, so we'll see. We will
so
see.
this is a good segue into what people are really tuning in for, and that's what you do. So your plans for Supercross. I mean, you're weighing obviously next Supercross season in this decision and what you're going to do for training in the off season, all that stuff, which is like, yeah, I mean, it's obviously a huge component, but you're not getting any of those benefits where you are now. So
Not really.
let's fast forward. Let's play a little hypothetical game. You buy a house in Connecticut. What's your plan? What would your plan be for next Supercross season?
Well, our lease here isn't up until April, so I would get through pretty much this whole Supercross season anyways,
Okay.
before we even had to worry about that. But yeah, that's the biggest thing that's up in the air. So right now I'm debating whether to have my Supercross track rebuilt at Tomahawk. Um, I've talked a little bit with Jason at SGB about maybe having one built at his house. We've considered just the option of doing 3 4 day trips down to Club MX, um, a couple times a month. That's kind of a lot, but it's not that far from here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The problem is I invested a lot of money into that Supercross track, and I say invested, but I basically just threw away because I haven't had it rebuilt since, and I would hate to spend 10 grand, have it rebuilt, and then move shortly
Yep.
thereafter.
And I mean, for what it was, it was awesome, but the weather was still a huge factor in you not being able to ride it.
Yeah, I rode very consistently up to January 1, and then after that, I was basically just riding in the snow. Um, and the problem with having a track that you're so familiar with and I was so good at, like it was the same situation. Like people used to make the joke of at when Rocky Hill existed. They said if there was a national at Rocky Hill, you'd probably win it. And that was a joke, but it was kind of true because you know every inch of that track and it's almost like not even practice anymore because it's so easy. That's how my Supercross track became.
Mm-hmm.
And then I showed up at Anaheim 1 that year and things didn't go to plan and I was like, how is that even possible? Because I've been riding like an animal. And then what I did after that weekend is I just started setting up cones. I was like riding inside lines that were all wacky. I was riding the track backwards. Um, Next thing you know, I was getting arm pump and getting tired again, and all of the elements that are thrown into a real race day situation. We were riding a new track that you're not familiar with. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the only problem with investing all that time and money into a track that is your own. And I also quickly realized, how expensive and how much work it is to just maintain one, period.
Right.
So yeah, I don't, dude, there's so much up in the air when it comes to all that stuff. I can't figure it out. I really can't. Same thing with the
Hmm.
schools. I don't know if I want to continue doing what I'm doing now which is going amazing, or if I want to have a home base and really focus on having full-time riders at a track that I can just call my own. But I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know. Because right now I'm able to make a really good living and the overhead is such a minimum and I could get out at any point if I decided next week. I don't really
Yeah.
feel like doing these classes anymore. I could just stop.
Hmm.
Where if I
Yeah,
owned a piece
that's
of
huge
property and
benefit.
had all this equipment and stuff like that, you're locked in for good.
Yeah. Yeah, not easy decisions, but you know, you have a lot of. I think you'd have a lot of support no matter what you did. Um, yeah, I don't envy where you're at right now because it's definitely tough. Although I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of at a crossroads too about what I want to do and where I want to go, and I'm not feeling it as much as you are, but I've had a thought like, damn, do we want to stay in Connecticut? Do we want to try something else? Like, but our family's here, and we can't do that to the kid, and I get it. It's tough.
Yeah, I will say that all of my options are good at this point. It's not like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
not.
like it's not overly stressful because all of the options potentially are really good anyways.
Have you set a date for
I
your
like
wedding yet?
no, because of all of this. Because
Okay.
we really want to figure out, I would say firstly where the heck we want to live.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to have I was thinking of this last night. I've been extremely driven the past couple of years with the academy because I've had such a specific vision of what I wanted. Um, and I think that's important in life because for somebody that's driven like I am, you're just like, I just get in the zone and I'm like an animal. I'm just like, I'm going
Yeah.
crazy just getting things done.
Hmm.
But right now, and I have all of July, all of August already lined up for classes, all that's done with. I'm kind of at a standstill in the sense that like I'm on cruise control a little bit, which should be a good thing because I'm gonna make really good money these next couple months. I made really good money the last couple months, and I freaking love doing it. But I don't like being in that cruise control. I almost feel as if like if I'm not progressing and changing the game, like doing something different, that
Hmm.
it's regressing.
Yeah. Yeah, I could appreciate that. Yeah, you always want to feel challenged, and once it starts becoming like monotonous, then you kind of lose the passion almost.
Yeah, because I told myself and I told Allie that hopefully she won't listen to this, that I was gonna take 2 or 3 months to just lay low. Like financially, I didn't have to worry about anything. It's not like I had to worry about paying the bills or anything like that. Um, and just relax and be home and relax and not really do anything. And then slowly, I've started to schedule things in and fill up that time. And yeah, 2 or 3 months then turns into 2 weeks if I'm lucky, and then that 2 weeks will get filled up. I don't know. That's just how I am. And a lot of people are like that.
Mm.
Like people retire and a week later they have another job.
But yeah, you can't. I mean, you can't expect to just sit and do nothing. Even when you say, "Oh yeah, I could bike every day. I could do what I want every day," it gets when you don't have a purpose, you kind of like just drift aimlessly, and that's tough for people. It's
Yeah.
tough for driven people.
Yeah. Well, and making money becomes a little bit addicting and like
Oh, of
accumulating
course.
money. I don't know if I was talking to you about, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. The more money I begin to make and accumulate, the cheaper I become because
Oh, me
like
too.
I'm,
100%.
I'm addicted to accumulating now.
Yes. Yep. I can definitely
It's
appreciate that.
so then
It's hilarious.
when I go a week without doing anything and without making any income, like I'm I can't help but the gears to start turning and just think of all types of different crazy ways to just make money in that time.
That's why I'm always perplexed about the kids who are so like, for lack of a better term, hood rich, and it's like they're buying all these toys and stupid shit, and they still live at home, or they still like, uh, they don't have any real financial success, but they get a little taste of money, and then they're like, oh, let's buy a fucking this or that. I'm like, dude, I'll buy all those toys from you right now, cash, but I'm not gonna freaking be spending stupid money.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's a really good feeling to not have to worry. Where when you're
Exactly.
that kid doing that, you're constantly stressed about money
Here,
because you're trying to
I'm
have the next
cool.
best thing.
I'm cool knowing that like I can, if God forbid anything catastrophic were to happen, and I didn't work for a year or I needed to support Jen for a year, I would not have to worry at all.
Hmm.
That feeling is better than any toy or anything you could possibly buy. To just know that God forbid anything were to happen, you don't have to freaking in a month be in the welfare line. You know, it's
Especially when you have a kid, obviously, and even when you
yeah.
have a significant other.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Uh,
So
well,
let's
do
move
you want to
on.
talk? Do you
So
want to talk dirt bikes?
I do. Because you freaking you teased me the other day with this stupid text message, and I've been on the hook ever since. Are
What
you
I
going to
say?
talk about that right now, or do you want to save it?
I forget what I said. There's been a lot of cool things happening lately.
You said something really cool might be about to happen.
Oh.
If you
So
want to save it, we'll save it. We'll give everybody a little
there's there's
taste.
there's two cool things happening in my life right now, both of which I can't really talk about.
You
Uh,
could talk about the transitioning.
let's say one of which
The hormone
involves.
replacement therapy, and I get it.
Well, I wanted to keep it a little confidential.
Oh
One of
shoot.
which involves somebody that used to be number 199. Uh, that's going to be a really cool thing. The other thing uh, involves the town of Claremont, Florida, uh, and somebody that's South African. uh, Actually, two people that are South African. Um, and yeah, I hope I if we do another podcast here before the next 2 months,
Of course.
I should know more on that situation in the next couple days. I don't even want to get my own hopes up until like the date is set and they're
Yeah.
it's a done deal.
Okay. All
But
right.
it it should be really 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 cool, and it's like the biggest thing we've ever done for the academy. So
Nice.
yeah,
Love
sorry
it.
to tease you so much, but I
Well,
don't want
I
to
mean,
spill the beans and then have it not happen.
I like it. I like the hook. So now you have to just deliver in the next episode. All right. So
Uh,
let's talk
hey, I
about you've
raced
had
the
some awesome.
125.
Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. So Southwick, run us down Southwick. First time you've been back there in a while. Um, I was hoping to see you on a 450, but tell everybody why you didn't ride a 450. I know. Definitely, people are
Well,
going to want to
to
know that.
to back up a little bit, have we talked since I tested with Maxis at Southwick
A
like
little bit.
a month or so ago?
A little bit. Go on.
So Maxis rented the track. Well, actually, Keith Johnson at Southwick was super cool about just basically letting us come there and join their Wednesday practice with myself, Chris Canning, Josh Toth, who's a factory Red Bull KTM GNCC guy. Um, shoot, Eric Rondel. There was like 4 or 5 really really fast people there, especially at Southwick because that's such a specific place to know how to go fast. I hadn't ridden outdoors in a long time. I hadn't ridden Southwick since 2013. Oh no, I did the
Has it
national
been
there in
that long?
I did the national there in 17,
I was gonna say, there's
but
no
before
way
that
that's that long.
2013. So twice in the past 5 years. Um, and we were testing a new spec tire that Maxis was coming out with, a new paddle tire. And first hour, like I told myself, I'm absolutely not racing Southwick National. This is a nightmare. This sucks. And then
And you
after
were
the
on your
first hour,
bike.
yeah,
You
I
were
was
on
on
your
my
450.
bike. Like my suspension is set up for outdoors. SGB had it set up for outdoors. Like my bike was doing what it was supposed to be doing. I was comfortable on the bike, uh, but the track was left rough from like a NESC race. Brutal, so brutal, and it was hot. But after an hour, I started to find my flow a little bit. I'm like, oh, you know what? I think like I wouldn't be the light in the world on fire with speed, but I'm thinking to myself like I could probably ride 30 plus 2 at a casual pace and be decently fast. Like this would be fun. So after that test day with Maxxis, I ended up finding one tire that was pretty darn awesome as well. I had the plan to sign up for the 450 class. Still hadn't really been riding much after that time before Southwick, but I ended up going online to sign up. And seriously, all it took was one look at the screen. And I was like, not only would it have been the most lengthy sign up registration process I've ever seen in my entire life, that involved like notaries and all this crazy, crazy stuff, which people are probably like that race nationals are thinking like, oh, it's not that hard. But most of those guys don't have to worry about that crap. Like their parents do it or their freaking managers do it. I don't have time to go to 7 different locations and to do all the like ridiculous amounts of paperwork. Supercross is easy compared to the outdoors. Not only that, but it was going to cost me like $750 to go show up and race this one event. I was just like, and that was just for sign up, for the credential and for race sign up, and for passes for race day. That didn't include like fuel to get there and parts for the bike and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So I was just
That's
like,
gotta be
yeah, no, let's not do that.
that's a lot of investment for potentially zero return. I mean, what would you have gotten out of it? Because you were at Southwick, you did race a bike, so that you could check that box off.
The only return would have been having fun, which I did anyway.
Yeah.
So I ended up, I'm like, okay, there's that 125 All-Star race at Southwick. I'm like, now that sounds fun. It's only $100 to sign up. I'm like, all you have to do is sign up online. I'm like, oh, like fill out a little tiny thing with your name and put in your credit card number. I'm like, okay, that I can do. The only problem was it had 46 riders in it, and there's only 40 riders allowed. So there was already a waiting list. And so I ended up working some magic. I got into the race. And what I did once I got in is I put up a post on, I think, on Facebook and just asked if anybody had a bike that I could rent. So somebody reached out. His name is Nick Harris. He has I think it was a 2016 KTM 125, which I just wanted a KTM or Husky because I wanted to ride something that was stock, but that could still be competitive, fairly competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So he reached out. We came to an agreement with what I would hook him up with in return, what I would pay him, blah blah blah. And yeah, ended up doing a 4-lap race, which was an exhausting 4-lap race.
No
I was
kidding.
like making fun of the fact that like, oh, it's only 4 laps. Like,
Well, I saw you the night before, and
anyone could do 4 laps. Yeah, everyone but me apparently. After the first lap, I was exhausted because I will say like the bike was sprung. It's sprung for like a 207-pound rider.
Okay.
So the
So it's
thing
harsh as
was like
hell.
the bike was like trying to kill me the whole time.
Yeah.
It was just deflecting off of every bump possible. So within 3 turns, I had severe arm pump. And it wasn't jetted properly because it was so hot. He had it jetted for like way more mild. Actually, he said jetted for like cooler temperatures because he's from New Hampshire. So the
It was
bike,
a super hot day.
yeah, not to complain because the bike was it like I was grateful to just have the bike, but the bike really wasn't running that well at all. So I found myself working so dang hard to ride this thing that after the first lap, we come around, we get the green flag, and I was just like, I took a deep breath of the finish line jump because it's basically the only jump on the track. And I'm like, wow, I don't think I have 3 more laps left in me.
Jesus.
Yeah, and I got smoked. I got 5th, which actually, for all things considered, I'd never ridden the bike until that day. There was like 42 bikes on the line. That actually wasn't that bad. But I wanted to win. I was a little mad.
I was a little mad too. I mean,
Yeah.
5th?
But
Really?
I mean, it also brought me back to the days to where having a fast bike is critical, which is cool. 125 racing is sick. Like carrying momentum. It's all about carrying momentum, but it is really important to have a fast bike. And I realized that because we came out of a turn and Robbie Marshall like pulls me so hard going up this hill. And Robbie's, I talked to him before the race. He goes, "I'm 215 pounds," and he's talking about how he wasn't expecting much. So at 215 pounds, he yanked me going up this hill. I'm 155 pounds. So I'm like,
So,
hold
but
on a
doesn't it
second.
take you back? Like, doesn't it take you back also, and give you an appreciation of how much easier the four strokes are to just in every possible way? It's just a totally easier game. There's no figure, especially now with fuel injection. I think that's, let me clarify, with fuel injection. No,
In
the
one lap,
jetting, all
I
those things you don't have to worry about anymore.
nope. In one lap, I probably shifted that 125. Let's just say 3 or 4 times per turn. uh,
What?
I don't know. I probably shifted over 100 times a lap. So just the
Jesus.
effort that goes into shifting that thing. Because think about it. You're going in the straightaways, second, third, fourth, fifth. Down into the turn, you're going fourth, third, second, first, all the way down to first in a couple of these turns. You're going all the way through the gearbox for each short little straightaway. Where on the 450, you do a lap around Southwick. I think I shift twice, maybe 3 times in an entire lap on a 450 at Southwick. There's just
Wild.
so much more that goes into it. And then when it's easier to maintain that shift. Not that there's much of a shifting game plan on a 450, but you still have a game plan. You have your shifting points and you stick to them. On the 125, you have your game plan sort of where you shift, but you could like hit a little spot that slows up your momentum just a bit, and next thing you know, you're downshifting. So all of your shifting for that next straightaway and a half has changed. And like all of a sudden you're going through a turn and second gear feels like it's working, but all of a sudden you jam it into the turn a little too hard. Next thing you know, you're having the shift down to first gear. And so it just throws you off from corner to corner. It actually makes it really hard to remember what gear you're even in.
I could imagine, yeah. Yeah.
But it was fun. It was
Crazy.
fun for a lap. I mean, the last 3 laps when I had that bad of arm pumping wasn't all that fun.
Fun
but
for a lap.
but practice was really fun, and yeah, the sight lap was cool because it's a
So
full
why didn't you
crowd
ride the
when you're at a
bike the day
national.
before? Because you were at you didn't you ride the day before? Not at Southwick, but you rode the day before.
Yeah, there was a practice at Southwick the day before for the 125 class, but I didn't feel like going. Uh, we went to MX23.
What difference would it have made anyway? It's not like you're gonna rejet the kid's bike on him, or would you
No,
have?
no, I wouldn't have.
Right.
Yeah, if anything, it would have probably gave me an anxiety to know that the bike wasn't ideal for me. Where going into Saturday, I really had no idea. But yeah, we went to MX23 on Friday. Did and that was another thing. I did a 30+2 and a couple other like pretty hard motos at MX23 the day before. So I was actually pretty wiped going into it.
But you
Normally that
felt
wouldn't
good.
wipe me out, but I mean, when you don't ride and you go out and do a 30+2 hard on a 450, like I was pretty hammered.
Yeah.
And I felt great on the 450.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you were there. It's good to come up and race that race no matter what, just to make an appearance and catch up with people. I'm sure you saw a ton of people that were excited to
There's
see
so
you.
many Cat and Zero Academy shirts. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Probably saw about 30 to 40 of them, which was so cool.
Yeah. I mean, you should definitely make a habit of coming back
And I was
get
racing
back
like
to your
seven.
roots.
There was like 7 or 8 of my students that were in the 125 race that I was actually lined up against. So that was pretty awesome.
They were probably disgusted that you didn't win. Can you imagine?
I was
They
nervous that one
probably
of them was going to beat me. that was my biggest concern. I'm like, oh my God.
Never ever blame the bike until you have to blame the bike.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. Did you see on Instagram my brother posted on the picture that I posted from the race that I did, the mountain bike race, and I complained about my bike. I was like, yeah, it was. I said something about like lugging a 45-pound enduro bike through a cross country race was hysterical, and he commented, he's like, only a poor craftsman blames his tools. I was like, bitch, I want to see you race of your street bike versus somebody's pickup truck around a track, and you tell me who's going to complain about their tools. Shut up.
I like that saying.
Yeah.
What else? I mean, we kind of got to wrap it up here shortly, but
We do. So, but
Did you hear about
let's.
Christian Craig really quick?
I,
And this could turn into a huge rant.
oh well, see now we're gonna open up a can of worms because you can't talk about Christian Craig without talking about we haven't done a podcast since Brock Tickle got cleared and Cade
Oh,
Clayson got
and
cleared.
Cade.
Yeah.
Oh
So
man,
maybe we shelf that for now. And for those people who don't know, Christian Craig tested positive for
God
would
knows
you
what.
even call it a performance enhancing drug? It's a WADA banned substance. What it does is kind of completely irrelevant at this point. Just a matter of that there was a positive speculation that it was a tainted supplement because they did all kinds of research to try to figure out what it was. It's classified, I think, as like a
Heart
high or a
stimulant?
low. Yeah, it's just a stimulant for low blood pressure. Go figure. But we could. Why don't we shelf that and come back to it? Because I do want to talk about. I mean, Brock Tickle's eligible to race again, right?
Yeah,
And
and so
Cade
is.
Clayson just got cleared last
Yep.
week. The day I saw you.
Did you see his
So
Instagram post, the screenshot of our text conversation?
I did. That was cute. That was real cute.
I go, so
Hmm.
can you race 2019 Supercross? And he goes, yes, with a bunch of exclamation points. And I just go back. I say, man, can't wait to put you into some scaffolding.
So that's super cute. Yeah, I did see that. That was
Well, it's
funny.
cool they're getting it figured out, and it seems like they're handling uh, who the heck, Christian Craig's circumstance better. And I don't know if it's because it's like a lesser substance, or if maybe they're learning that they haven't handled the other situations better.
Well, I think they're
I
getting
don't know.
better, and this is just speculation from things I've heard elsewhere, but I think they're getting better at like testing because it's not like when you go in for a WADA drug test, it's not like you're taking a illegal drug test where if you have it in your system, you're going to get a hit for it. They're testing for like metabolites of your body having like basically anything that your body has done to break that substance down in the last however long. If there's a metabolite from the breakdown of that product, they're testing for those too. So you don't have to do it within the last week or month or whatever. It's like some of the tests now are so sensitive that they can test for a metabolite that you might have done a year ago, but because you did it a year ago, it's still in your body from like the chemical breakdown of it. It's pretty wild, and so it's one of the most controversial things about the WADA testing in general is that what are they testing for? It could be something that you done a year, 2 years ago. There's a big problem with the MMA and when the guys are actually using it and when they're being tested and all that stuff. So that's a can of worms, man. Sure is.
Yeah, it just seems like there's so much gray area. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You got
Well,
to
I
feel
think
bad for the guys because you'd like to think that they're not intentionally doing this, especially with the amount like the stuff that they're finding and the like the trace amounts that they are
Jesus,
finding.
I know you got to like don't get your supplements on Groupon. Don't get your supplements on Amazon. Like they're so easily faked and counterfeited and like know what you're spend the extra money and get the stuff that is if anything try to go the natural route, naturally derived stuff, not like even the stuff at GNC, man. Like there's a lot of quality control issues. And I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but just be careful because a lot of these guys, especially in Chris and Craig's case, they're really trying to do their due diligence and backtracking it because he hasn't done. There's no evidence that he did anything outside of what a normal protocol would be. But something somewhere could have been tainted, and they're finding tainted supplements all the time.
Yeah. Well, we shall talk about that more later. Maybe we'll try to get into doing this once a week again. That would be cool now, wouldn't it?
I think we will. My schedule. Oh no, I'm going on vacation tomorrow.
Like, can we be friends again?
Tuesday. Yeah. Well, yeah. You're the one who won't talk until we have a podcast. So now at least we could talk about the things we just talked about. But yeah, I think we have a lot of stuff for the next episode because I want to talk about. Obviously, we can get into the PED discussion and all that stuff too. But I want
I
to
want to
talk
talk about
about
my last
JGR
class.
Suzuki.
I
Yeah,
want to talk about
Faulkner.
Faulkner was actually really, really cool at the class, and I wanted to talk about that.
It looked
Totally
awesome.
forgot.
Well, I want to talk about our buddy Kyle Chisholm and the JGR whole thing, and
Which was
there's a lot to
short-lived.
talk about. Short-lived, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wonder why. I don't know.
Well, yeah, we don't want to go down that. We'll save it. We're gonna shelf a bunch of stuff. We got more to talk about. So anybody who's interested can listen next time.
Yes.
All right, buddy.
Well,
Well, it was good catching up with you.
This was fun.
Yes, sir.
All right, toodaloo.
We'll talk soon. All right. Bye-bye.